What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jedi Jive Live number 15. We're going to talk about Bad Batch episode 3 today. Right now, we got Levi Bond from All New Nerds. Waiting on a couple more guests. We're going to go live in a couple minutes. Stick around. Are we ready to go live? You guys bring some good energy today? Ready to talk about some Star Wars? Alright, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Am I getting cut off? I need to adjust the, let's adjust the Zoom window since we don't have our other guests here yet.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on, everybody?
How you doing in chat?
Alright.
We got Jaden, we got Hustle Mando,
There we go.
Lavelle as always,
That's a little
Angie
better.
Lewis. Good evening to you as well.
Now we're all there. All right, who we got? We got Lavelle. We got Hustle Mando. What's up, brothers? Jaden, good to see
on
you
the
back.
treadmill.
And we got Angie. We've seen a couple of you guys joining the Discord recently. Angie and Mandy. Those are the two queens of the Discord right now. Head on over to the Jedi Jive Discord. And the link is in pretty much all of the most recent Jedi Jive videos that we've put out.
Let's batch it up. So it's Hustle Mando. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, let's talk about some Bad Batch.
The batch.
I am glad you are here right now, Levi. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was mentioning right before we started how last week you were like, oh yeah, like you were one of the I loved this episode. I don't know if you liked this one more than last week or not, but this episode might actually be my favorite so far.
Yeah, I think I could get behind that. I think I could get behind this being the better.
Yeah, there's the obvious it's short compared, it's a third of the length, even it's less than that. It's even like almost a quarter of the length of the first episode. So it obviously doesn't get the opportunity to do as much. But there's definitely, I for one really enjoy the shorter format because not only does it remind me of the Clone Wars, and it gives me that okay, I'm watching like a Saturday cartoon almost. It gives me that feeling, but also as a reactor, the editing is way easier.
It's way easier, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, before I respond to that, Angie in the chat asked, she just finished Clone Wars, where to next? Well, Rebels is the first show that came out after that, and that takes place around right before the original trilogy. Bad Batch currently takes place between those two, and that's coming out now, but Rebels is the show that came after Clone Wars. And in terms of, the length, I mean, for that first episode, I feel like, it was long, and it was beautiful, and it was excellent, but when you have something that long, it can get kind of bloated and long enough. Like, I think you could have cut some stuff out of that sequence, out of some of those sequences that, it just doesn't need to be there. And with these 22-minute episodes, or 30-minute episodes, you can, when you really have to focus on these points and these character points, you get a lot across, and it's just really it's really potent. All of the character stuff is super potent, and the action is always here we are, we're going, and then it ends, and you're like, that was good. Whereas sometimes on that longer ones, it drags a little bit, and so that's why I really liked Cut and Run last week, because I felt the background stuff was just, I enjoyed all of seeing these people as characters, seeing these clones as characters who previously I thought they were all just sort of like cardboard cutouts of stereotypes from other things. But now even going further now, and now getting it looks like we're gonna be seeing Crosshair, at least probably his perspective, at least once a week, maybe, or more often than we may have thought.
Yes. I want to talk more about Crosshair for sure, because I think they basically showed Crosshair. He's obviously been programmed intensely to
Yeah.
follow orders now. But it showed him sitting in their old barracks in this episode, like having a moment of contemplation where it was hinting, like, Crosshair's not all the way gone yet. He
Yeah.
is
See,
savable. They had a
well,
brief little moment, and then on the other side, you have Wrecker, who was complaining about his head getting hit,
this
and you're
chip.
like, oh no, Wrecker might start turning now.
Yeah.
So you might see a bit of a switch even, and that would be interesting
Yeah. I
to
think
see
that
if Crosshair had to save everybody at the end.
specifically on that first point where he's like the moment of contemplation, because other people have brought this up. I didn't read the scene that way. I mean, he definitely, I think he was showing, if anything, how just his chip has made him essentially just like a motionless robot, because he stares. I like the way the scene is shot is like, okay, this is remorseful. Like this is a different squad is now taking the place of his former teammates. But like the way he actually looks, like he just sort of stares at the, at the notches on the wall, and he just sits, and like there's no emotion. Like I understand why like people have read it as like, oh, he's remorseful, but I think maybe deep down he's that way, like past all the programming, like if Crosshair was really there. But I don't think this Crosshair is that. I think this Crosshair is cold, like no remorse, evil guy. And I some other people have brought up to me like, I don't know, man, this is the dark times. This is like the part in Star Wars that's everything's always going wrong for the good guys. Like not a lot of winning happens. And I think, we see Tech making his little like scanner thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll if Wrecker goes wrong, I think they'll be able to fix Wrecker. But I think they might like take Crosshair out, and he's still gonna be an asshole. And he's like he's just too like he's just like
So you think they could even get
I'm just
Crosshair's
bad.
chip out and he'll still be
Yeah, I think they could like fix him, and it
Yeah.
like he's just like, listen, man, I'm deep into this. Like the programming is already, it's just all messed with my brain, man. Like I'm not a good guy anymore.
Yeah, the actually Tech's little device that he talked about, they showed that before they mentioned Wrecker, his head being a problem. So there was
Yeah.
like already off the bat, they had sort of hinted that they were like Tech was going to be trying to figure out how to remove their chips or learn more about them. Or
I can totally see like the Jekyll and Hyde esque episode or Hulk with Wrecker already. That's like mid season where there's like Wrecker's flip
oh yeah,
flopping, and then they fix him, and then later in the season they try to do it on Crosshair, but he like snaps out of it and just like kills someone anyway, and like
yeah,
they're like, oh god, he's still bad.
yeah. I'm so afraid for Wrecker. I feel very unsafe about Wrecker's future because they keep, especially his
Who's a
relationship
favorite?
with Omega and
Yeah.
like that. He even like gave her that doll like in her room so that it
I
was like
know, yeah, his
that's
little
kind of
doll,
like
yeah.
symbolic of like him like he gave it to her basically. It's hers now.
It was so
So
funny.
I can see them killing Wrecker and then having that doll be like left somewhere like in the dust and have that be like the last. It
Yeah,
would just
yeah.
be like so heavy to see.
It would be really,
Sorry to bring the mood down.
and previously, yeah, and previously we didn't know how dark the show was going to go, at what pace, and it seems like we're just jumping in. Like if there's a season 2, like by the end of the season, we think there is a season 2.
Yeah,
This
because
stuff's gonna get heavy.
there have been Clone Wars episodes that are dark. Certainly, like we've seen that before, but like mostly in the later like
This is the
once
start of the
yeah,
show.
this is like right in like third episode. Whoa, they already went there. So that means they're dude. We can expect anything at this point because I don't think I was necessarily shocked so much as just sort of like pleasantly surprised that they went there.
That's like,
'Cause
okay, we're doing this. Like
yeah, yeah.
this is the Bad Batch. It's the dark times. Like
Yeah, we've
stuff's
certainly
gonna
seen people get
be hard.
executed before, but this was just like right off the bat.
Well, a lot of it is just also the way it was shot. And you had asked us the other night, what do we feel about like R-rated Star Wars or like more mature Star Wars? And the way I explained it was that within these ratings, like PG-13, and in this instance, I think it's TV-14, you can actually do a lot more than we usually see in like the Clone Wars or Revenge of the Sith or The Force Awakens, for example. Like, that's a PG-13 movie, but there's a lot. You can say a certain amount of cuss words in that, and there's a certain amount of violence. But Star Wars just is not that tone, and so it takes that rating and is able to play with it a lot. But when you can go dark, you don't have to change the rating to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
like the way this is shot, like specifically the scene when the shuttle is like taking off on Onderon, and the
Mm-hmm.
one elite squad trooper just shoots the guy through the glass, and you just see
Yeah,
that guy get shot. And like
yeah,
it's just
that was
framed
definitely
of
on
him.
camera.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
in frame of that guy just being
dead,
killed.
dead. Yep.
And usually in like Rebels or Clone Wars, it would be from a different angle, and you would maybe see the shot come like from like behind, and then it would fall, and then the guy would be dead later. You would never see like someone without armor or a droid just straight up be murdered on screen, and at such a large scale.
And while they didn't show them actually executing, well, they did show him kill that one lady.
One
you saw
guy,
her, yeah. But like that, when you saw like the family's just like, please, we just want to like get off world or whatever.
Like, you
and
hear
then,
the bodies drop.
Yeah,
it's like, oh
but
god,
they use a flamethrower.
Yeah, it's like, you hear like the crisping and like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, so it was very like, wow, that's not just like execution; it's like terrorism. They were actually like going above and beyond. Like it just seemed so excessive.
But just the way it's framed, like this stuff was allowed, but it just wasn't always shown. But now, like that, this is a sequel series to Clone Wars. It makes sense that they're sort of taking what had already been established towards the end of Clone Wars and just running with it in terms of.
Oh, and just a small note, like I didn't know this, but I saw somebody mention that Jon Favreau actually had like a voice credit as one of the like Saw Gerrera's men on Onderon.
I think he was in the first episode.
Oh, was he? Okay, so I didn't catch it though, but somebody said Jon Favreau was in there.
Yeah, he was in the first episode.
He always sneaks his way into everything. He's got his.
I mean, it's so weird, right? Because he's been part of Clone Wars and Star Wars as a voice actor for so long.
Yeah, it's true. At this point,
we just sort of forget about it.
Yeah, a very credible voice actor. So you know what? It's funny because like this episode was. I noticed this at first. That like if you want to describe the episode as dark, you'd be correct, like metaphorically and literally. Because, yeah, when I was editing this reaction, I had to add so much brightness to like so much of it was. So much of this episode took place in the dark. I thought that was particularly like a sort of a visual choice that they made.
Troopers are dark and all the Well, in terms of, and this is super like nitpicky stuff, but the animators and the creators of the show have talked about when making resources for the show, like to represent the Empire, they took a lot of Clone Wars elements and just like drained them of color and like just like turn that knob way down, and just it's a part of a lot of the, like the shuttle, for example. It's the Republic shuttle. It's a new class attack shuttle for anyone interested. But like you see that kind of shuttle in the Clone Wars all the time. It's just red and yellow, and there's like lots of colors, and those colors are still there. They're just super faded to the point where it just looks gray. Yeah. And they talked about this in the interview. They did the same thing with the ATTEs, which we haven't seen yet, but they're in the trailer. That like with the tanks and the troopers and the clones, like anything with color that was representative of the Empire, or of the Republic in the Clone Wars, they just grayscaled it essentially.
That's part of that transition. And
that's part of the vibe you're talking about, the darkness. Like a lot of the background elements now that you used to have color no longer do, as representing like the Empire taking over and stuff like that.
Yeah, but also too though, like they're landing on like a clearly like desolate moon. There's one more another thing we want to talk about, that which is the Ordo moon dragon is a new creature that they just added. And I noticed that the people that run Wikipedia, they get that stuff up like.
Well, the keyword
I go right to
Ordo
Wikipedia
part.
And there it is. Like they've already like written a little article about it.
Yeah, the Ordo part is what's got people talking.
Oh, why is that something we've heard before?
Yeah, well, Ordo. Let me sit up here. It's a lot. Ordo is a planet in Mandalorian space. So if they're on like a moon of Ordo, they're like right next to Mandalore. Because for those of you who've played Knights of the Old Republic games, Ordo Canderous Ordo was a Mandalorian who like Ordo is an important Mandalorian name, and in canon in Legends it was more important, but in canon it's just we know it's a planet right next to Mandalore.
Oh, okay. So you think they might end up on Mandalore in the next episode or two, just by proximity, basically?
I mean, they could. I mean, we've heard that people are like, yeah, but Bo-Katan's going to be in the show.
Yeah, I think she's a perfect fit.
They're capitalizing on Clone Wars elements and Mandalorian elements because Mandalorian's popular, and this whole Mandalorian storyline has been one of the most lucrative and interesting for Lucasfilm.
Wow. If they do bring Bo-Katan, imagine Katie Sackhoff. Like, you get to be Bo-Katan, then you go get to play her in real life.
Again, yeah.
And then you get to go back and play her again in another show. Like,
honestly, she probably was doing the work. If she is in the show, she may have done this work before she played her in live action.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
Because
it's hard to tell, because we have been talking about in previous weeks how it really seems like this particular project has been sort of evolving in the works for like the last like 8-9 years even.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So that's
whether or not Katie Sackhoff actually did voice acting, though.
Well, I just meant like when the episode guides come out, you get concept art, and a lot of them are dated, and like with the
voice
models
acting does come first, though. You need that to
animate. Yeah. And the models, like the finished models, are dated in like 2019. So, and that's before Mando season 1 even comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true. Yeah.
I bet she has done some work for the Bad Batch.
Yeah, and she
if
didn't
she's in
show
it.
up until season 2 of Mando, so
And I haven't
yeah.
gone deep into this theory, but in the communities I'm in, some people have like super analyzed like frame by frame the trailer, and I haven't done this. And they claim that Mandalore is in it, or like Mandalore is
Yeah.
confirmed. And like I've heard that. I don't
There
know.
are other
I haven't seen
Mandalorian
the proof.
characters though that we could not be forgetting. Like, what about like Ursa Wren, for instance?
Yeah, it could be cool. I mean, they
We
made
saw
that
her in
model
season 7,
in
didn't
7.
we? Yeah.
It's another case of, well, they made that really expensive, nice looking model. Might as well use it.
Yeah, and that helps you also get little fun. Oh, just having that Ren character where it's reminding you of Sabine, and you're gonna get Sabine eventually. Although it seems like it's gonna be the Ahsoka series, right? That's
Ahsoka.
more, yeah.
I think that's.
Do you think that the what's her name? Tia Sirkar?
Tia Sakari, yeah. I mean,
Because I feel like her
plays...
look is like she really has like a good look, and she looks like she's physically capable. I don't know why it would be impossible to get her to play that.
I hope she plays.
I honestly don't. I haven't seen her act in anything though, so I don't have any like opinion on her outside of her voice acting.
I just know that she is like a conventional actor as well, an on-screen actor.
Are there any other Mandalorian? I mean, we got. So yeah, like technically, Maul is all that whole thing is technically.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've brought that up before, and we know from some TV spots that, and the description of when the show was first announced, that the Bad Batch is going to like take on jobs as mercenaries, and we still have a lot of the show left. Like we have 13 episodes. By the end of this run, it could be like.
Let's get me some Maul, man. Give me some Maul. Let's do it. I want to see it.
I think that if they're like start to get connected to the crime world, and Fennec starts hunting them down, which we'll go into that later, which I think we know why that happens now. Like eventually they could end up inadvertently doing a job for like Crimson Dawn or something.
Yes, and they had that little sort of circle of Crimson Dawn players that included
Dryden
Voss and Prince Chizor from Shadows of the Empire.
it's not him, but yeah.
It isn't that I could swear that was people confirmed that was supposed to be Shizor.
No, it is the same. It is the same species. It's a Falleen,
okay.
but who is in charge of Black Sun at that time. But it's
why
not
do I need Wikipedia
Shizor.
when I could just talk to Levi? You are a walking Wikipedia.
Shizor could be canon, but Shizor is like in charge of Black Sun.
Shizor, that's how you say it.
Shizor. I mean, I don't know. I've only ever read it, right? Like I never met the guy, but like he is in charge of Black Sun. Like in OT time.
Okay.
And at least
Black
in Legends,
Sun is kind of like a precursor to Crimson.
No. They both exist at the same time. They're separate syndicates.
Oh, okay. So what was that little? Wasn't that it was Maul sort of gathering the lords of the underworld?
There's the Shadow Collective, which at one point had in the Clone Wars when he sort of bullies all of the clans into coming into one. Like he bullies it's the Hutts, Crimson Dawn, the Pikes. Or I'm sorry, not Crimson Dawn, the Hutts, Black Sun, and the Pikes into like, and the Death Watch into like being his cadre of crime lords. And eventually, in that time, he starts his own, which is Crimson Dawn. But as time goes on, the syndicate sort of starts to fall apart, and it's like sort of crime wars, because we know in like Solo by that point, Crimson Dawn and the Pikes, very tenuous alliance, and we see that a little bit in in Solo, and you see that in Clone Wars where the Pikes are like. Dude, we're listening to this Maul guy. Like, this is tough. Like, even by season 7 and Dark Disciple, like Marg Krim, the guy you see in the Trace and Rafa arc, is like, God, dude, this sucks. Like, this guy is like calling us on hologram and spooking us. Like, we got to get out of under the thumb of this guy. Yeah. But he's a present force in the crime world. But the Black Sun is its own thing at the same time.
But yeah, I mean, Maul would fit in perfectly if they're going to be doing underworld crime world stuff. Then
it could be cool.
It's end of season 7. Maul escapes. There he goes, and we know that we eventually run into him. But it's like that's
the biggest thing. Like totally outside of a lore perspective, if you're Lucasfilm, not marketing, but when you're thinking about writing the story, the last thing you see of your viewers is your huge tentpole show, season 7. Maul escapes. He leaves. That's like a cliffhanger. Like, where does Maul go? And you're presenting, here's the sequel to the Clone Wars, Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. Maybe it would make sense. Like, it's not too much of a stretch to be like, he left here, now he's here. Like,
do you think we're gonna? I mean, it feels pretty safe to say that Ahsoka is gonna make an appearance, whether or not it's like one episode or if she has an actual story arc of some kind.
Well, okay, yeah. Before we
could go either way,
dive into this. What I wanted to say was, of these first 3 episodes, I think this is the strongest start we've had to any Star Wars show, period. A super strong start.
I would agree. Yeah.
But like there are 13 more episodes.
I know.
And
I know.
if the story continues at this pace and like we're getting Fennec Shand, and if they start tying it into like you said, Ahsoka and all this other stuff, like this might be one of like the best Star Wars things we've gotten in a while. Like like this has the potential to be really cool simply because of the volume of what we're getting and the quality thus far. Because not only is it compelling, but it's beautiful. God, is it so good to look at? Like it is just stunning to watch.
Yeah, I've been definitely watching some of we've been week after week mentioning sort of like the level of polish that I'm seeing on the animation, and it's definitely got the corners have been smoothed off more on this animation than they used to be in Clone Wars, and you can tell that it's had a lot more love put into it. But that also, like I think we mentioned last week, there was that scene with Omega where she's like handling the dirt, and you like the particles in the air just felt real. You could like feel the air.
Yeah.
And it just felt like an environment that you were in, and then when you add on top of that, I feel like the music we need to talk about too, because there's a lot of really good musical moments too. There was even one moment, I don't know if you remember, like the Siege of Mandalore music.
Yeah, it's like Blade Runner.
Well, yeah, exactly. There was like some crazy music, but then there was that one episode. I don't remember if it was episode 11.
I think it was 11 where
like, all of a sudden the music was just like really subtle. Yeah, very ominous, and that pre-order 66 just like and there was a shot of Tarkin and Admiral Rampart talking about their new conscripted soldiers or whatever, and it was just that very subtle sort of ominous music, and it was getting me real.
Yeah, Project War Mantle, which we know from Rogue One, which is fun.
Oh, okay. It was one of the names that they named when they're like looking through all the cassette tapes.
When Jin is going through the data vault on Scarif, and one of the projects.
Wasn't there one that was like Dark Sword or Dark Saber?
It's Black Saber, Pax Aurora, Mark Omega, Stellar Spear, War Mantle, and I think then Stardust is the one she says.
You're like Omega. You have the like photographic memory. You just like remember everything.
Well, yeah, I'm studying. Eventually, I want to participate in trivia of some sort of competition, but. Yeah. I'm building the knowledge base. But anyway, so it's super cool that, and we'll get into Hustle. Well, before I get into that, Hustle Mandalorian said, I don't know how they'd work Maul in, but I'd definitely take more Maul. Yeah, like I'm right there with you. Like I think it'd be cool to see, but if he's not in the show, I don't like. It's not a make or break for me. Like I don't need Maul to be in the show. I don't think he's immediately relevant to the story as I know it right now. But the War Mantle thing, I think it's super interesting. Because a lot of people are theorizing, like, is this the start to the Death Trooper program? Is this the start to X, Y, or Z?
That was my impression at first was like. Just the fact that they're special forces and they're wearing all black in one form or another. Did you say that in
your reaction? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it was like they're not specifying these are our Death Troopers, but it's like, okay, this is clearly like the beginning of the special forces version of Stormtroopers, where.
Yeah, I take it more literally. Like if the project is literally called War Mantle, and like if this project as Rampart has presented it is about who holds the mantle, who has the mantle of making war, and they're shifting it from clones to conscripts. Like to me, that's the way I read it. It's just the project of how are we going to shift off of clones.
There was that one scene where the guy that Crosshair ends up killing because he's
one. Yeah.
But he suggests that he actually used to be in the rebellion and they didn't do shit for him. And he was like, the Empire is actually like pays me, feeds me, and puts a roof over my head.
He said the Republic. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right. But nonetheless, it was implying that he wasn't always just like for the Empire. He just went to the Empire because they paid better, basically.
Well, I think the implication is that they were soldiers during the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then the Empire has given them better benefits thus far. I mean, we see that in Clone Wars, like, the freedom fighters on. Oh, here's John Johnson calling in.
What's up, Johnny?
He's connecting to audio.
Hello.
There he is.
Hey,
what's up, man?
Boys?
Out in the world. I haven't talked to Johnny in too long. He's been gone.
I know. How's it doing? How's everybody?
Good, man. Give us your quick rundown. What's your quick first impression of this episode?
Dude, it was good. It was good. I liked Crosshair stuff was the coolest though. And I did like the Elite Squad Trooper. That was a cool group. I liked how they all had like all different weapons and stuff. That was cool. So
we were
obviously
just
they're
talking
like
about those
obviously
guys.
they're just like the Imperial version of the Bad Batch kind of essentially because they all just got their different the different quirks. But
did they though?
Yeah,
that one guy was sort of
that
stood
one
off
guy
because
was right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'll get into it. I got a whole theme. I gotta think about the themes, Johnny. I gotta think about the themes.
Theme guy. Yeah, no, I loved Omega's stuff too. Omega I think was probably the star of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
She always seems to be.
In her encounter with the Ordo Moondragon inside its little lair or whatever, did you get the sense that there was something more happening between her and the dragon, or that it was just as simple as like, no, it didn't want to eat her because it only wants to eat like, batteries, basically.
Yeah,
so she was never in danger to begin with. It was just scary looking.
Yeah, I think that's the realization she.
Because some people are like, "Oh, did she have a little like Rey connecting with the beast moment where
snake,
she tamed it by sort of just interacting with it?"
I think I
thought it. Yeah,
it's always right on the edge.
You could read it into it like that. I thought it was just because like
they wanted us to misinterpret it and talk about it. That's all. Yeah.
I don't know.
But she's always right on the edge of like, is this force sensitivity?
Yeah. I know. I think there's gonna be a payoff. I don't know if it's necessarily force anything to do with the force. I mean, it would be cool, obviously.
I kind of at this point want it less and less. I want it to be the force, and I just want it to be she's a special clone that has like. Because the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Kaminoans are like back to being like shady.
Yeah,
they only care about their own agendas.
They've always been shady.
We were convinced though that Nala Se was like letting Omega go because she cared about her or something.
She still might.
Because I was getting the impression that they're like, well, we only need one to get more DNA or whatever, and I was like,
Omega,
they want her.
Yeah, Omega,
yeah.
But that was Lama Su, that's the PM. That guy's he's top dog, and she's like, they won't come back willingly, and he's like, no problem, we'll get him. And she's like, I think, I don't know, the way they talk is so like monotone. It's hard to get emotion from them. I think that she still could have a special place in her heart.
Yeah, they did make their agenda well known though, in that they were like, this is like, they need to maintain their contracts with the Empire like any way that they can, so that they'll sell her out if it comes to that. Is kind of is the point. They're not gonna not sell her out because I've seen so many
fan art. I guess they're kind of memes too of Daniel Logan as Omega. I don't know if you guys like it.
No,
it's so funny.
He'd probably be down to do it.
Those edits. Yeah, that's funny though. Yeah, so what do you guys? Yeah, do we still think that like what kind of? She's obviously a clone, but do we know? I guess I'm trying to think of the episode kind of like hinted at anything at all, like. With that.
Well, it did show that like when Hunter was doing his tracking, that she was like blatantly absorbing all of it, and like, and then when she was like, "Oh, I did what you did, and I found the dragon," and look,
I think she's like Taskmaster. She's like Taskmaster. That's my
Taskmaster.
So a lot of people are suggesting that she has what is it? Like I said, not photographic, but like photogenic. What is it? Memory.
It's like
she sees something and then she automatically just adds. It's like the Matrix.
It's Taskmaster.
You can like program her with new skills.
It's just Taskmaster.
Yeah.
We're gonna see him in Black Widow.
But like
Omega.
The implications of that though in the future are that like Omega is gonna like one day be like OP, like just.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why, because that's the whole conversation those Kaminoans are having. Lama Su and Nala Se is that to move to the next phase of the plan, we need to make better clones, super clone, X-23 clone, and Omega's got that DNA that'll let that happen. Because I think her mutation, not only is she a female, but that she, and this theory that that's been thrown around that she can like absorb. She has all the other powers of the Bad Batch essentially. Like she's like the ultimate. And she can evolve into having all these different things because she's so adaptable.
Does she knows about inhibitor chips? Does she also have a malfunctioning chip just like the rest of them?
I don't think she's chipped.
That's a good question. I don't think she's chipped.
Because why wouldn't she be if she's actually closer to them than Echo is in terms of like her making and her her breeding essentially? Then
it depends on the situation she was made, and we still don't know enough about her because we know that the chips are like put in when they're babies because they're organic chips.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess you know what? She probably wouldn't be chipped though, because they would have already known that she'd only be like whatever she is, 12 years old at the time of Order 66. So she wouldn't be
Right.
like,
Yeah. She
if they
probably
were
would've-
trying to like turn her
would've
into a
been-
super soldier, she wouldn't
Yeah,
be
that would have
ready
been
yet.
probably activated by then too.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
don't-
But
That's-
was that their intention all along though? Is it like, are they trying
However,
to make a
I
super
mean,
soldier out of
however,
her?
however, that
Rampart
could
was
be
cool.
answered.
Rampart
Mhm.
was kind of cool in the
Yeah.
episode. That was the
Admiral, he got a promotion.
I
Ad-
saw that. I
Tarkin
think
promoted
somebody who was like in the military came on. They're like, actually, I think he's a vice admiral, and that you kind of just when you're addressing a vice admiral, it's like informally you still just call them admiral.
Which is true. However,
because they
the way
did make
I
it
read
clear
that
that
scene, because it's
to
been
me, it
done
looked like
before.
a promotion because he was like admiral, and then
Yeah,
he was like, Thank
it's a
you.
Star Wars thing. It's a Star
Yeah.
Wars thing. Like
It's a Star
Vader
Wars
does
thing.
it.
Promoted.
Yeah, Vader does
Yeah.
it. You know, we've seen it before. Like it's a classic.
Yeah,
you
like
just
after
say the
he
higher
chokes
rank.
out Ozzel, he addresses
Yeah,
Piet.
Admiral Piet, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it's interesting because, like, I remember from episode 1 with the whole thing with Tarkin, he was like, the clones are kind of disposable now. But then Rampart comes in and is like, oh no, there's a use. There's a use for these clones still, especially the ones like that
Well,
are.
I don't know.
as-
I think
as
it's
the
more of
Crosshair.
a push pull because Tarkin has the line in this episode that while it's a relic of the past, it still has its uses and it's
Right,
gonna
that's- yeah,
be the
yeah.
thing from now on.
He
Like,
almost gave me a weird little like Thrawn kind of vibe. The way
Tarkin
they
or
have him
Rampart?
Rampart.
Yeah.
The way he had that like sort of British.
Yeah,
Sort
well,
of
what if he rips off his mask
propriety.
and then it's Thrawn at the
His
end of the
Mission
season?
Impossible face
Yeah, he's
printed
got a-
mask.
Yeah, tears
It's
it off.
Thrawn
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't think
It's
so.
some Scooby Doo character.
Yeah. Oh, Levi, I didn't say it to you in person, but happy 700 subs, buddy. It's exciting.
Yay! Yeah,
Yay.
Mandy's trying to get me to dance and chat.
Oh, wait,
but
did
this
you
is
get
the-
back
No,
to
we already,
700
you already
again?
did the dance.
This
We
is
got
Jedi
all the-
Jive. I'll do the dance on our stream. When we do
Yeah.
stream. This is
That,
Jedi.
that's
The-
a, that's
the
all
Pennywise
stream
dance?
Yeah, the
exclusive.
Pennywise dance.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's-
I'm in
we made it
Chicago
back.
right now, so
Oh wow.
You're still in Chicago. I feel like you've been in Chicago for like 3 days.
yeah, I know. I just got here. Well, not just got here, but so
Actually, did you know who else he reminded me of was Callus a little bit, but Callus ends up turning. He has that moment with
Zeb.
in the cave where they like realize it's that
yes,
what's that movie with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett? Enemy Mine. It's that enemy mine scenario where like the crashed pilot and the guy that they shot each other down, they're kind of forced to help each other get out of a situation, and they end up bonding over it.
Yes.
Yeah,
In the most extreme case, like Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, yes. Anyway, I think this Rampart guy is solidly in the evil category though. He's
Yes.
not gonna,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I think he's
Yeah.
dead by the end of the show.
yeah,
But yeah, I definitely like his presence in terms of just like because Grand Moff Tarkin is always like we know he's there until
Yeah,
at
he
least
can't
a New
die.
Hope.
So
Yeah,
I think Rampart
we
is the
need-
guy.
exactly.
He's the guy who can die.
He's the Major Von Reg. Do you know?
Major
remember
Von Reg. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the Major Von Reg.
yeah.
That was a Resistance character, Johnny.
He was cool
Actually,
looking though. He was
Who
Yeah,
was
red.
the
I
gold-
think
who was the
that
gold
was-
guy?
Pyre.
I think I know what you're talking
Fire.
about. Yeah.
Von Reg was the red TIE pilot that was
Yes.
like
Yes.
the head.
Yes.
He was supposed to be like the Red Baron.
I have to
basically,
finish. I have to
of the-
finish the show. I have not.
He has a
finished it,
cool
so.
tie
Oh,
intercept.
you're actually watching Resistance.
No, I watched it a while ago. No, I watched
okay.
like the first. Yeah, I think it was like
There's
through
enjoyable
the
moments
first
in it.
season.
Let's not talk too much
Something
about
like that.
Resistance now. Let's go back to episode.
Bad Batch. Bad Batch. Yeah.
Yeah. We were
What's
talking
that?
about how
I
Wrecker,
think I froze up.
his chip was clearly starting to activate. And Levi and I
Yeah,
disagreed a little bit on how I thought it looked like they were making Crosshair look like he was not 100% gone when he walked into the barracks, saw the tallies on the wall, sort of like remembered his brothers for a second and had that
Yeah,
moment of like
Little reminders.
Levi thought it was kind of like no Crosshair.
I think the show is showing us the reminders, but I think Crosshair, the character, is like
yeah.
gone. Like I think he looks at it, he just doesn't
I
care.
think it's
He,
just
like,
to further reinforce like that there is still a potential. Like he's still
Yeah.
like really.
that I
really
definitely.
deep down still has that kind of care for the crew.
I mean,
But that in relation to Wrecker is
Yeah.
why I was like, oh, they're hinting that Wrecker may actually turn.
And that's right. And that's yes.
And then Crosshair may have the ability to go, so they could switch, That would be
You
crazy.
think? Oh, they didn't switch.
It
Oh,
will
I think that's-
possibly, but
I think that's too
okay.
much.
but I don't think it's going to be that. I think because they're hinting
Yeah.
that Wrecker's chip is starting to activate, I think that's hinting that all of them are unsafe. Like Hunter may be like the last one to go, but like maybe at one point Tech, maybe at one point, or even Echo
that'd
could
be
be the one to
interesting,
save
like-
all of them because he's the only one that's actually had his chip fried.
Echo is the
essentially.
sassiest. sassiest member of the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
This dude is,
he's also like the
completely
most
different.
grounded.
he's ornery.
It's very
He's ornery.
yeah, he's very different, which is
But
interesting.
yeah, man, dude, when Hunter was like, Echo, the ship, the lights are off again, he's just like chomping his stick, like, yeah,
I
man,
know.
throw it on the
Yeah.
list, and he just doesn't care. And I was, sort of
I know.
put off by this.
It's very interesting that 180.
Well,
from the Clone Wars.
Well, I was saying I was put off by this too initially, and I'm like, okay, well, it does make sense. His character has been so radically changed since he was like a normal clone, and he's a different guy now.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I just think it's interesting. Like,
but I think we'll get his character arc, so to speak, in the show when Rex shows up, because he and Rex have such a long history. So when he's with Rex, he's gonna be like, oh God, Rex, and like his humanity is gonna start to come back
in about 5.
Right
yeah,
now,
you want Fives to come up at some point, and you want Wrecker to be he has to be the one.
Yes, I think it's perfect with having it for Rex.
Oh man, that's so heavy.
That's my dream. that would slap. I think. So, have you guys talked about what you think is gonna happen next week or next episode?
I think we see the Metropolis. I think next week might be Fennec.
Fennec, okay.
Yeah.
We also briefly touched on that Ordo Moon or whatever, where the Ordo Moon Dragon's from, was near Mandalore, he said. So that was.
Yeah. Levi told me that. Yeah, I think it would be obvious. I would love for them to go to Mandalore. I just don't see the motivation to right now.
I mean, we still don't know where they were going to begin with.
Originally, right? That's fair.
They left Seleucami, and we don't know where they were going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just now after we've seen these like civilian executions with flamethrowers, and like they end the episode with this very like
Clone Wars,
warm and safe feeling bedroom that he makes for Omega.
Well, yeah, the same guy who wrote this episode wrote the Umbara arc. So
really?
That makes sense.
Also a very dark
or directed.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was saying how like this episode ended on like feeling very safe and like in her little bedroom with the Lula doll, and like it's just all the family is together, and it just feels like,
the Omega's bedroom was sick. That was awesome.
Yes. So it's kind of like everybody's in danger now. I just feel like it's just
I think that was definitely teasing that.
It's gonna go way downhill before it goes uphill.
Yeah. Okay.
John, you were talking about how all the elite squad have their own different quirks, and I think the whole like the macro theme about, and we were talking about this earlier, it goes all the way into like the set design about how the Empire taking over is a bad thing, is that the unique recruits, like the actual humans who are different, are less individual than the literal clones of one another.
Right.
That's like the macro scale theme of like, look, this is the Empire and it's bad. Like all of these different people have like no emotion and they're just blindly following
orders. This is why we have Levi on.
When the literal clones are all like different, who were like literally bred and born for war, but they have more humanity and personality than the and I talked about this like months ago, because I was as soon as I found out that on the back of the Black Series box that it said enlisted recruits on the elite squad troopers, I was like, I know what they're going for.
Yeah,
I was like, it's gonna be real people.
The theme.
I did. I got a theme dar.
All right. Well, listen, I do have to go.
Yeah. Thanks for popping in, Johnny.
I just wanted to say hi, but I will talk to you guys very soon.
See you soon. I missed your reaction this week. You didn't do one.
I know we didn't do one. We didn't do one because it just was. I was on the road and then we couldn't get a stream going. But we'll I think for Friday. So.
I would have streamed alone. Damn you, Streamlabs.
I know. We gotta figure it out. But anyways, all right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks for popping in, dude. See ya.
See you, man.
Bye.
There he goes.
Good guy, that Johnson.
Meeber.
Meebs. Oh, speaking of Meebs, Stephen Stanton was a voice in this episode. Well, he's obviously Tarkin, but he was one of like Saw Gerrera's partisans, and it was and it was real close to Meeber Gascon. I could hear it in there.
I'm like, was he the chopper pilot that got shot?
No, actually, it might have been. I think it's the first guy who gets shot, who's like sort of talking to the girl, like Saw is gone, and it sounds just like Meeber Gascon. Like if you listen to it, I'm like, there's Meebs in there.
This is actually reminding me that we should talk about D. Bradley Baker for a second, because like, god dang, dude,
he's awesome.
He's doing every single one of them,
and they're all different characters.
Yeah, and if you try to like listen to try to hear his voice in any one of them, it's kind of hard. Like it's
so impressive.
That's amazing. It
is amazing. That's the only word you can use to describe it, because he's like half the cast of this show.
Yeah, but then also any other clone that's just like still
Is
a generic,
also him.
He's also them. Yeah. So like, wow, man, that's so impressive. Do you think we'll get? Do you think they'll have any guests? Because I remember, you see the little trailer they had for an upcoming episode that had like that. What kind of? It was like a Trandoshan woman, gangster
woman.
looking.
Yeah.
The voice sounded like it was maybe a famous person, but I couldn't tell.
Maybe. I mean, we've already had.
But I was wondering if you thought there might be any like guest voices, like a Mark Hamill or something in there that would be fun to see.
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, we already have like last week, Nika Futterman, who does the voice of Ventress, was that little.
That's why I
was that little like Audie Mandrell.
She was like, your chain
species.
Code.
Yeah, she's like, you gotta get a chain code. Yeah, that was her. And
I was
like,
trying to like, where do I know this voice? I can't believe I didn't put that.
Hey, Ventress made it in.
Yeah, I know. If that's all I get is that ugly little alien, whatever.
Yeah,
I need me some actual Ventress.
Right?
Someday I could do a whole podcast just on Ventress because I am like so in love with her.
Big Ventress fan.
I just want to like marry Ventress.
Ventress action figure. There she is. Chat Ventress for Mike.
Wait, oh, okay. You have the Black Series.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Black Series Ventress.
Yeah, I would. My friend and I had been discussing who we thought would make an excellent live action Ventress if there was an ever opportunity for that. And there's so many different options. I think maybe Charlize Theron would be cool for Ventress.
Apparently, Charlize Theron is as good as anybody. You know, everyone's like, make Charlize Theron Duchess Satine. Oh, you know, did they say that?
I just know because Charlize Theron can do like active.
She can kick ass.
She can kick butt, and she's like tall and skinny and like gorgeous. So it just kind of has that. She could be.
Oh God, what is? Now I can't stop thinking about what is the species of the little thing that she was? It's
I
one
don't
of the
remember.
pod racers
but they have that guy,
one.
that one character in Resistance too, is one of those like bar dwelling.
Yeah.
You know, dart throwing.
What's the pod racer? Is it Audie Mandrell? Because you have Ben Quagenera.
Oh, he's one of those things that gets killed in the pod race, right?
Yeah, I think he's the one that goes.
Yeah, and then he hits the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the like alligator guy who goes like explodes. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Someone in the chat help me out. The pod racers are a weak point of my knowledge. There's so many. There's just so many.
Really though, what was your opinion on the Mandalorian season 2 Cobb Vanth speeder?
Did you think sweet?
Did you think? Oh, obviously it's sweet, but I meant like, were you among the crowd of people that were like, no, that's not Anakin's pod. It just looks like.
I think it's just a pod racer. I don't think it's.
I felt like there were a lot of details that were kind of scary. Similar.
It could be. It could be. Hey, I don't know. It like got scrapped and reused. Sure.
Yeah.
It just doesn't mean. Like, it's super cool. It's cool enough that it's
just the fact that it was like a jet engine with.
It's a jet engine. Yeah, it's like the coolest looking thing of all time, and like it could be him. It could be, and like that hint that like.
Oh, Cobb Vanth. When do you think we'll get Cobb Vanth in Book of Boba? Because it's Tatooine, right? Like, I mean,
we've heard the rumor. We've heard the rumor that he's.
I think it would be stupid not to. He specifically says, "I've lived my whole entire life on Tatooine," so he doesn't even leave the planet.
I think it's likely that he'll be there.
Yeah. Although most Pelgo doesn't seem like it's.
Yeah.
Maybe
he leaves. Maybe he leaves. Maybe he's got to do something. Well, we just don't know the plot of that. That's a whole other conversation. We could go into that, but. Before we move on, Clegg Holt.
Just the fact that Cobb Vanth was the guy that wore the armor for that long, that he has that extra.
And we gotta know why Boba didn't go after it sooner, and like why he just let him keep it. I want to know that story. I think we'll probably get in Book of Boba Fett. But yeah, Clegg Holdfast. That's my favorite pod racer. That's for Klieg. Maybe it's Klieg Holdfast. No, it's Klieg Lars. I think it's Clegg.
Oh, Klieg Lars is the what?
Klieg Lars is Shmi's. Klieg Lars is Shmi's husband.
Yeah.
Who
Anakin's
buys
stepdad.
her, then frees her and marries her.
Yeah.
Clegg Holdfast is.
And then the only reason he doesn't go save her is because he lost his leg, right?
Lost his legs, yeah. I mean, they took 30
Did you ever
men.
wonder in those scenes why it was like, Owen, what were you doing? Like, why didn't you look like a healthy young lad? Why didn't Owen go get Shmi?
I mean,
if his literal stepmom got kidnapped,
I mean,
what was stopping him from?
It's possible that he did, because he says they're like 20 men went out, only 7 of us came back.
Oh, that's true.
So like maybe he did go out. They just failed.
He was too busy, flirting with Beru.
But yeah, Clegg Holdfast, he's the pod racer with the cool green and it's a circle. He himself kind of looks funky. He looks like a.
I've never seen like the meme, like the joke toy that's like it'll be like Owen and Beru Lars, but it'll be like a bunch of charred bones.
Chris. Yes. Yeah.
Not even like a full skeleton, just like a pile of bones.
We got Dylan in the chat. Are the Jedi jiving though? I'd say so.
Are the Jedi driving?
What's up, Aiden? Aiden in the chat coming in. What was probably doing Spice that
What's
whole
going on,
time to
guys?
get over the Sarlacc pit PTSD. Yeah. But anyway, okay, back to Bad Batch. I think the whole thing about like how the Crosshair and the Elite Squad are less human than the actual Bad Batch. I just like that. I like that.
Spice. You know, it's funny. Yeah, they do mention Spice a lot, and like Spice Runners and like Han Solo, and they mention it in season 7 when with the Martez sisters. They actually where they're running for the Pikes, right?
Yeah, they're running for the Pikes, and
and they
Mando
dump all the spice. It's
in Mando season 2, when he sees Moff Gideon's light cruiser, he's like, "This isn't a spice stream."
They show that guy in Attack of the Clones. Is that Attack? Yeah, where he's like, "I'll sell you some death sticks."
Yeah, death sticks. Dude, that's Elon Sleaze Bagano. Come on, Mike. That's his name. It's Elon Sleaze Bagano.
Yeah,
it's really his name.
Wow, George Lucas like
Sleaze Bagano. Yep.
Doesn't even try. Anyway, death sticks is like the one like direct example of like, oh, okay, there's like cigarettes in the Star Wars universe, but like spice, they never specify. Is it like, oh, is it like space heroin, or people like injecting it? Are they like snorting it? What's going on? There's no example of like what exactly is.
Well, it's like a
frankincense and myrrh kind of thing, or
it's like
poppy
seeds. It's like poppy seeds in
Are people
life.
consuming it? Are they smoking
they're just that you can turn it into a bunch of stuff like the poppy plant.
Okay, because there's like think that they
because there's medicinal uses for spice because they make medicine out of it.
It's basically like marijuana. Are they like because are there any like hookah bar scenes in the Star Wars universe where we've seen people like smoking from a hookah? There are, right?
Yeah. I think it's not that I've ever done heroin or opioids, but I think it's more like poppy seeds because you can use poppy seeds to make like painkillers that help people, but you can also make it into like addictive drugs, and that's what spice is. I mean, I think it's just spice. I don't know. It's like spice from Dune. That's what it is. It's just Dune spice.
It's like spice from Dune.
That's really what it is.
It's Dune spice.
It's just Dune spice. I don't know. You can make drugs. It does cool things. It's also worth a bunch of money, and you can use it as currency. Hondo's always after it.
Yep, Hondo. There's another character that's an interesting possibility. And if we're doing,
I always love more Hondo. I don't know, like
100%. One of my favorite characters.
And Jim Cummings too. Freaking Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. I know. Wow, Jim Cummings. But Hondo.
Sure.
You know, it's funny because like before Bad Batch started, we were like, oh, how many cameos might we get? Oh, we don't need to rely on Clone Wars cameos. We're doing This is the Bad Batch. And now that we're 3 episodes in, like I'm not even worried about it anymore. Like I'll definitely take cameos, but this episode just like started the storylines, like so many different storylines now. We've got like a new character in Admiral Rampart. Crosshair just got his new squad. So that's a whole brand new thing.
And okay, speaking of that, and referencing cameos in Legends, Rampart and this whole Crosshair War Mantle thing, that's like exactly the job that Cody had. Cody's job was training people on Kamino, like these new recruits, and like overseeing that program in the middle, as far as I'm aware. Correct me in chat if I'm wrong. I'm fairly positive that's the certain. So it would totally make sense now if this is how Cody enters the story, that they bring him on as like an advisor to help train.
Do you think we get Cody soon?
I think so. I mean, in terms of like talking about cameos, like we know that Rex is in it. Like that's not we know that Fennec is in it, and those are not insignificant characters. And those are only 2 in the 13 episodes we have left. So it's almost certain with all of that time that we will see someone else familiar, because Star Wars isn't exactly known to have. Like Star Wars, typically other people show up that that's usually someone shows up in almost everything, and so it makes sense to me that Hondo maybe could make a cameo. And there's just so many possibilities.
Wow. So wait, I thought that we were gonna run into Rex as out of just part of the being near Cut storyline, and I thought Rex was gonna be with Cut because maybe that's where he was gonna be hiding out. Because if Cut has done it successfully, then Rex would know that and want to go there.
But he was there, right? Yeah.
So under what context are we gonna run into Rex now? Like we've seen him, that clip of him in the trailer where it appears like there's somewhere like Braca, like a junkyard, or scrapyard or something. But
I think that because we know that Rex was there, right, at Cuts. Like
maybe they're gonna need to find
Ahsoka. They were there like the day before.
No, you know what? That is not happening. Because if they need to find Ahsoka, then they're basically just doubling up Mandalorian season 2. Because they already had the
had that plot. Yeah. No, I think that
people will draw a connection.
I think now we get a couple episodes where they start to do jobs, they start to form themselves as mercenaries, and on one of these jobs, I think maybe going to Brock or something, I think they'll run into Rex organically.
Oh, you think so?
Or the other option is maybe not organically, because
I don't like the idea of just bumping into somebody because it's like this is the whole galaxy. Like that makes it too small.
Not necessarily organically. Let me rephrase that, because all these plots, with Star Wars, it's never just like one singular thing going on at once. As tech develops this scanner thing, maybe like as they start to scan people, he's like, okay, well, maybe we need to go talk to Rex after whatever happens with that. And so maybe they take a job that they think is going to get them closer to Rex, and on that job, they run into him, in quotes, is what I mean.
Yeah. You know what might make sense is that kind of like the message getting passed along in terms of like Rex finally got the message from Fives in season 7, right? Or
finally,
what was the
it was, yes. No, it was Fives.
Who was delivering the message? Oh wait, no, it was Ahsoka watching a video of Rex that Rex had left, saying that he learned about what
Rex
had happened
says
to Fives.
And
he's like, I don't want to have to say this, but like, I feel like it's necessary for me to leave this information here.
Okay, that's what you're talking about. But
so she finds it, yeah.
In the scene where Order 66 happens, he says, "Find Fives." Yeah, that's.
So now that like the chips are like actually a thing, you think maybe Rex would like further push that message out, like record like another like.
Well,
this is what happened.
They know,
I had my chip taken out.
Well, they know from Cut and Run that Rex was there talking about these chips, and they're like, "What are these chips?" And chips have come up every single episode so far. And now Tech is building this thing. So as they get into it, they know, okay, well, Cut mentioned Rex. Maybe we should go find Rex to tell us what the hell's going on, because he was going on like a madman to Cut about like, it's a conspiracy where the galaxy's going haywire. And as they start to see that reality, the Bad Batch, they're going to be like, okay, maybe we need to go talk to this guy.
Yes. Okay. So do you think Cut and Sue and their kids are coming back then? We'll see them again, possibly? Or are we done with them?
I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah. I feel like with 13 episodes left, right now, I don't feel rushed to get anywhere.
I don't feel right. Yeah, I don't feel rushed. Like, ask me again in 4 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because right now,
that's a great thing too. I hope that we don't, get bogged down a little in the middle, with kind of going on too many adventures that are, people will call them filler, they'll call them side missions, where you're kind of just like, oh, that was fun, but it didn't really take the story anywhere. Because so far, I don't feel like all 3 of the episodes, like the story has evolved a little bit.
Yeah, I think
they've
all evolved, especially.
Yeah, so I'm just hope that they keep that pattern and we don't have any nonsense in the middle, because waiting, like I said, I like the shorter format, particularly because the edits go much quicker, but it also it's just like it's easy to absorb, but people will get impatient if we're waiting week after week after week and it feels like it goes nowhere for a couple of weeks.
I think
they'd much rather just like, if you're gonna be 22 minutes, just give us 3 at a time, kind of thing.
Yeah, just give it all at once. Why don't you?
Yeah, well, obviously some people would love that. But
yeah,
I have a feeling that they've got this. It's working, and it's going to keep doing what it's doing. And
I actually think that next week we have potential to have a quote unquote filler type.
Hustle is 16 episodes.
It is 16.
Yeah,
and filler in the sense that like I think
there has to be some.
They start to get like, it's not necessarily filler, but people will see it that way because they need to establish them getting into like the mercenary world and doing a first job.
Like a Mando season 2, episode 2, one of those episodes where it's like, okay, it's filler, but clearly
it's filler. But in that context of that episode, like that's my least favorite episode of the whole show. Yeah. But in that episode, you set up the New Republic thing, you set up Frog Lady, you set up like there's like, it's important to have that episode there. Like it's not just totally irrelevant. And so I think setting up their establishment in the mercenary world, in which I think this whole Trandoshan thing will come up next episode. That's my guess anyway. Like it may not move the whole plot forward, but I think it's slow. It just has that's why there's 13 episodes. That's why there's 13 episodes left, so they can do things like that and make it flow, make it work.
Yeah, and then that brings you to the conversation of whether there will be a season 2 or not. Because if there is a season 2 already planned, then I'm even less rushed to like, we need to get all this stuff done, because
as far as we know,
there is a little bit of an adventure here and there where it's just fun, then I'm not going to be bummed about that.
As far as we know, there is a season 2.
Yeah. And which makes me wonder, like, are any of the Bad Batch going to die this season? I feel pretty confident that yes, some are going to die, but
maybe so.
Are we going to lose any?
To go back to next episode and tie it into this episode, we sort of have like 3 plot lines going, or 3 factions officially now. We got like the Empire and Crosshair, we have the Kaminoans, and we have the Bad Batch. And I think we're going to introduce, the crime element next episode. I think that the Kaminoans are going to send Fennec to try and go get Omega, and that's how Fennec is going to.
I agree.
That makes sense.
And I think she's going to be successful because we've already established how like Fennec is like elite level. Even Mandalorian Din Djarin, who's himself feared, is like, no, I'm not going to go F with her.
But that's like, Fennec. That's Fennec, though. That's Fennec, like 30 years later. 25 years later.
Oh, you're saying that 57-year-old Fennec would be more fit and ready to go than 25-year-old Fennec? I think.
Well,
not.
I think like 20-year-old Fennec is like fresh in the game. I think she's good, but like against the whole Bad Batch, like I think we'll see some.
Yeah,
top
I think
stuff,
her role is going to be she's going to be laser right on. There's going to be you're not going to be like, oh, she hasn't learned.
But Mike,
how
she's
to be a
she's a Mary Sue then.
No, okay. Well, I don't know. It would be fun. Fennec Shand is an interesting enough character.
I'm just messing with you, man. I just think that she'll fail only simply because of the amount of footage we've seen of Omega on.
You don't want to have them successfully kidnap Omega and then bring her back to Kamino and then have
I'm not
them
against. No.
having...
I mean, I'm not against that plot. I'm just saying from what I've seen of footage that I know that there are other episodes with Omega in. I've seen her in too many different locations for me in my head to fit in a plot where. They take her, they have to go rescue her, and they do all this other like character building stuff.
Well, that could happen. The successful kidnapping could happen towards the end, I guess.
Well, I agree with that. But I just think that she fails the first time.
Angie says she made the visual connection between Hunter and Rambo. And you're not the first. Like, there's already memes going around of like just calling him Rambo, basically, or like basically putting Sylvester Stallone's face on Hunter's body.
Yeah, he definitely, I'm glad he doesn't talk like Sylvester Stallone.
Omega! Adrian!
You bad bitch.
If I could change, we all could change.
I mean, it's so funny if Hunter just had that awful bad bitch.
Yeah.
No, but I think that I agree that there could be a Grogu-like Omega gets taken back to Kamino later in the season, but
we don't want to have too many similarities between Mandalorian and this.
Yeah, not only is it similar to Mando, but I just think structurally for the show, having it in the middle of the show doesn't make much sense. I think that's more of a finale thing because we see her with the bow. We see her on.
You know what else is great? I just thought of is that like we were on Kamino in the first episode. We were also on what was the planet where Caleb and
Caller.
Yeah, Caller. We were on Kamino. We went to Seleucami. We went to Onderon, and now in this episode, we were on the Ordo Moon.
Ordo Moon and Onderon and Kamino. Yeah.
But then also, I guess Kamino is kind of like home base for this show right now because Tarkin has basically been there the whole time.
Yeah, and well, people think that Tarkin's going to take a backseat for now. I think he's still going to be in the show, but I think Rampart is going to step up as the villain for.
It'll be like Rampart and Crosshair will be the. Yeah, you're right. I agree. And then we haven't even mentioned Vader. We haven't even mentioned it.
You think there's because obviously we talked a lot about this.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic news, though, if you think about it, because we would have agreed before the show that we don't want to have to like rely on that to make it cool or to make us love it or interested in it.
And it's interesting.
So like the fact that right now, fuck yeah, I want some Vader. Give it to me. But like
you think now though with what
I hadn't even thought about it until now. So they're doing their job without him. If he, because I'm excited.
I don't think they need him. I think if they fail to stop the Bad Batch so fully and like utterly that next season they need to bring Vader in, like just like Rebels, like end of the season, like okay, Vader, go take care of this.
I don't think he'll have any. I agree that he won't have any prominent scene and he won't even have any lines. But I think just and like a cape and like maybe just like
I think
the implication that he's there kind of thing.
And just like the end of Rebels season 1.
Yes.
Where he like shows like SHITs get real. Like okay, they did their thing where the Bad Batch defended against Rampart.
Yeah. But then plus also anytime Vader shows up, it gives that sense of like he's undefeatable. Like there's no way, like if he's there.
Hey,
like,
Rebels did it. Rebels was able to make it work.
Yeah.
Where like he's still imposing and crazy powerful. but your characters could still, make it out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't right now see a place for him in the story. As of right now, as of these 3 episodes, ask me again, and like I said,
this
there's
is
so
great
much
news
room
though,
to
because
grow.
right now we're like, oh, like what's gonna happen with Omega? What's gonna happen with the rest of them? The Kaminoans, and them needing to. You're right. Like I think it's them that's gonna hire Fennec Shan, and that's how we're gonna see her.
Yeah, we know the Kaminoans work with bounty hunters all the time, right? Jango Fett,
Yep.
obviously, bounty hunter. The origins of that whole relationship is the Kaminoans have always been pretty shady. They're shrewd business people.
Okay, and you know what? Another thing that I'm thinking about is that like we're talking about having concern for like Wrecker in particular, like having the potential for the chip to activate. But what does that imply? If the chip activates, that means he's going to want to go and kill Jedi if he sees them. That's all that means.
Well,
it doesn't mean he's going to start being a dick like Crosshair.
No, I think it would. It would mean he would lose his personality.
You think so? Like entirely? You think that he would just turn into a robot and be like, "Where are the Jedi? I want to kill some Jedi."
Well, yeah, Jamie from Helena was talking about this.
Because it didn't make the clones like go rabid all of a sudden. It just made them.
No. It doesn't make them rabid, but it made them like freaking flesh robots. Like they lost all of their personality.
Yeah, but that was like in the presence of existing living Jedi that they then had to take out. But like there's no Jedi to kill. What does a clone that's had his chip activated do when there's no Jedi around?
Well, we see that in the first episode. Think about like the clones in the Clone Wars with all of their personality and flair, and like every time you see a clone die, it hits you, like it's tough, like that's a dude. In the first episode and the second episode, especially when there's like an occupying police force, they're just like robots. They're no better than droids. Like they have literally no personality anymore. All of their markings are gone. They're just white automatons that have they don't think for themselves anymore. Like that, all of that is gone. Like all of that free will and ability to think now they are just like stormtroopers. And you see that like this dude when Cut, it's why they don't recognize Cut. Like he's walking on the thing and the clone is like, you look like, and Cut's like, is there a problem? And because we talked about this last time, how Cut has been living a certain way for so long that the chip no longer even works in his brain. Because like from almost the start of the Clone Wars, he's been an independent guy, whereas previously the only independence granted to these clones in the context of battles, like what the Kaminoans programmed into them. Like they're more free thinking. You hear that in Attack of the Clones, they're like, they have free thinking, and it makes them 10 times better than battle droids or whatever. She says to Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones. But all that's gone now. Like they're just total robots. I think if the chip would turn on, he would be an asshole.
Interesting. Because the reason I was saying it is because I was thinking specifically in the context of like, have we seen? Is that it for Jedi? Is seeing Caleb Doom and Deepa Billaba? Was that it? Is that the only, force sensitive lightsaber wielding characters we're gonna see?
Not if Ahsoka shows up.
Yeah, that's true. But also Ahsoka
may not. Maybe Inquisitors.
We determined Ahsoka may not even have lightsabers and be using the Force. She may be pretending she's normal,
undercover,
because that's what she's doing in the novel, right? She's not even using the Force.
She could be undercover.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that because the clones wouldn't, if the clones were themselves in the Clone Wars, they wouldn't go along with the Empire. I mean, they fought for the Republic. They're not fighting for the Empire willingly. Like they're literally programmed with this chip to do so. It's all part of Palpatine's plan.
Yes.
Because the Jedi made them so individual and so unique. Like the relationship with the Jedi during the war made them these unique, living, breathing people. And I thought that was like the whole point, was like these the droids and the clones are functionally on paper like the literal same, but the clones have so much more personality than the droids and so much more unique individuality than them, even though they're all literally the same person. And like that was sort of the thing. But now they've gone back to just being these mindless automatons that you see in the beginning.
Wow. You know what? I think that actually is it. I think Caleb Doom, I think that's it. I don't think we see him again in this show.
Yeah. No, I think I actually disagree with that. I think just because of the way, because even if they just loosely adapt the canon comic, even if it's super loose, it's like from novels and from what we know in Rebels, which is definitely something they can't retcon. That's because that's on screen.
Yeah,
he is in the crime world for a long time, and if they run into him again in the crime world where they see him there, and he's like a young kid, and Hunter's like, that's that kid.
Yeah.
Like they could
He could
there
come
could be
back
a
in
moment.
season 2 though, for instance, and be slightly older.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there could be like a moment between Hunter and Caleb.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't need Kanan at that point it'd be Kanan. I don't need Kanan to be like a main character in the show, but the way they set up him running away and the way like it affects Hunter.
Yeah, but also Hunter effectively let him go, so Caleb would know, hey man, there's something different about you. Why'd you let me go?
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like
at that point, he would have learned what had happened. He would have been able to
exactly. So
figure out
like he just scene where he apologizes to him, like I like my friend Crosshair tried to kill him, like, and if that was clearly an emotional moment, then when they made Kanan or Caleb an element of the Bad Batch's story. So now that has affected him, so it coming back to be relevant to the Bad Batch again might make sense.
Hustle Mando, you're mentioning about we've talked about some of the other Jedi. We mentioned Quinlan Voss would be one of the most likely because of his storyline. Yep. Although we didn't do Dark Disciple, they never went out and specifically did Dark Disciple beyond the novel. So like technically in the animated canon, Quinlan Voss could be different.
No, I mean it happened. It.
You mean like Quinlan Voss is definitely alive?
It's definitely because in Dave Filoni's head these stories happen.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good point.
Like in the wider. Well, just in the way Lucasfilm operates, like they still have access to these stories, so they still operate. And I think it's been said before, they operate like those unfinished stories for the most part happened because, especially something like Dark Disciple, which was so far along into production.
Well, we had theorized Caleb Doom, and we got him. He was one of the before we started, we were like, who could we, what possible? And there we go, right off the bat, we got one of the potential Jedi. So Caleb Doom was one of them, and Quinlan Voss was another. And then I don't think they're gonna do any video game characters ever, honestly. Which is stupid. I've heard people mention this before. Have you heard Christian Harloff talk about the concept of inside baseball?
Yes.
Yeah. I think he's 100% right on that, and that like Disney has this impression of like they have to keep it all. Yeah, They think that it's too much inside baseball, and it's not.
I am familiar.
Yeah,
it's not with this thesis, and I think you're right. I think
just because like video games are a different genre or whatever, it's
But then again, sometimes these things get to like such a breaking point, so to speak, or they reach a terminal velocity where they're too big to ignore, like Ahsoka or Luke or Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian. Like those things, Bo-Katan's pretty inside baseball. She was a main character in Mando season 2.
I think though that she's appeared like Ahsoka and Bo-Katan are both examples of like they have appeared in multiple animated shows now. So it's like it's already
Bo-Katan though. I mean, Bo-Katan's in like 5. She's in like 2 episodes of Rebels and like 10 of Clone Wars. Like that's not like a huge character.
Yeah. I mean, like she is like she's important in Rebels and that she ends up with the Darksaber and they her name. But anyway, the point is that it's like you say that it is inside baseball, but the whole point is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it shouldn't matter. But my point was that some of these things that are inside baseball, quote unquote, reach such a point where they have to be mentioned, such as what we've seen in Mando season 2.
Yeah,
like there's no like these plot lines you can't ignore them because they're so core to Star Wars, the Star Wars canon. And with Dave Filoni there, who is in charge of all these animated shows, it comes up.
As Hustle Man is saying, Cal Kestis would be so easy to bring him in. And it's not necessarily like we would love it, right? We would be thrilled. We would all be like, "Holy crap, they did it!" Okay, Cameron Moynihan is like,
hold on,
ready to go.
Pause this whole conversation. Well, not only that, but Holland's busy right now, but he AJ could join just like Johnny did for a second if you wanted him to.
But if he wants to come give his opinion on the episode, give his shakedown.
But I wanted to pause the conversation because we know almost for a fact that we are literally going to Braca. Like Cal Kestis is on Braca.
Oh, wait, no, that's right.
Like why this is
no, you know what? But no, because Cal Kestis is the same as Ahsoka. He's not using the Force. He doesn't have a lightsaber.
Well, okay, no, he's not doing anything like that. But I'm just saying we could see him. Like he could just be there.
Yeah.
Like he could just be him and Prouf could just be hanging out in the background.
That would be interesting.
Like
that would be one of those. That would be kind of shoehorned in though, because they're never gonna do that. No, they're not gonna go out of their way to tease the.
My point was that if we are
tickle our
literally
pickle
going
like
to
that.
Braca, then that is where Cal Kestis is
That's
canonically for 5
exactly
years.
at this moment.
At that moment, like that
Did
is
they say how long?
exactly
So
where he
Cal
is.
Kestis is like on Braca for 5 years or something, basically.
He works there, as far as I know, because like he escapes from the Venator, and I'm pretty sure he crash lands there, and like he just sort of works with the
Okay, so
with the Scrappers Guild.
Edu Giant says, I think Dark Disciple will probably become an animated movie because from what I know, they're going full blast on the animation department. If what you just said is true, like I get a boner thinking about that because
Well, yeah, I don't know if we've talked about it, Mike.
Well, we've talked about how they didn't expect Clone Wars Season 7 to be as successful as it was. They knew that they were doing Clone Wars Saved and that they were kind of like throwing us a bone, but they didn't anticipate that it would be like one of the most popular animated things ever, right?
Well, that's not, so after the success of that,
and now
there have been multiple reports that they're working on animated films, and Matt Lanter, I don't know if I think we talked about this, was like,
and he mentioned he was doing a project,
I'm an Anakin in something again.
If Dark Disciple becomes an animated movie, that could potentially be my favorite Star Wars thing ever. I love that story. Love.
It could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been done like twice now, and
yeah.
I
have talked about in the past about how like you couldn't make you wouldn't be able to make it like R-rated, and we talked about before about how you don't want R-rated Star Wars content ever. That's not.
I mean, it could be TV-14. I think they could.
Yeah, but I feel like Dark Disciple could be a potential. I would love to see because
I mean the opening of that story where
the
Dooku
Asajj
like
Quinlan Voss like they don't explicitly have like a sex scene in the book, but they imply that they're sleeping with each other.
They're romantic.
Yeah, so that's. Other than like Anakin and Padme and Han and Leia, like you don't really ever get like passionate love in Star Wars.
Well, I mean,
you get like
Han and Leia
lovey-dovey. You get lovey-dovey. Yeah, I know, but they kiss each other. There's no like implied like we were talking about sex in Star Wars last week, weren't we? Where it's always like it's implied that it.
I think. I mean, the prequels are the biggest example.
You were talking about it in the context of the New Republic or the High Republic. And about how there's characters that are literally just like bringing up sex for no reason.
Well, no. What were we talking about that? No, people who don't understand the Jedi asked about that when they're
okay, that was it. Yeah. Anyway, I just feel like Dark Disciple would be because that's Asajj and Quinlan Voss is like that book is like that's a love story.
Yeah, it's also violent too.
Oh yeah, definitely violent. I just feel like you can't tell that story without also like.
Yeah,
showing their love for each other and their yeah. Oh, I would love to see that. And
I think who said that
version of Asajj Ventress is yellow lightsaber Asajj, which we haven't seen.
It's true.
I want to see.
Technically, we did see her lightsaber. Half of it was used in Maul's lightsaber in season 7.
Wait, what? Oh, wait, what?
In Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, like they reused the element that they made for Asajj's lightsaber in Dark Disciple in his lightsaber. Half of his lightsaber is his Phantom Menace one, and the other half is the one they made for Asajj.
Oh, okay.
It's a fun fact. Because they just had that element laying around. Yeah. So that instead of making a new one, because it was Asajj's was never used to begin with.
That was. I know you're a sequel trilogy fanatic. But I definitely.
I'm a Star Wars fan. Yeah.
Coming out of Rise of Skywalker, I definitely loved that they gave Daisy Ridley a yellow lightsaber. I was like, finally they did like
dope
a
look on lightsaber too. It's
dope
like
too. Yeah, the way it has the little like the doors on the chamber that like open up. Yeah,
it's cool. So cool.
But like that was one of those because growing up, where like lightsabers were only green, blue, and red. When we finally got Mace Windu's purple lightsaber, it was like. There were different color lightsabers. Oh my god! But now, obviously, there's.
I mean, the lightsaber color is such a.
You play Fallen Order. You can have an orange saber if you want.
Because in the comics in like the early 2000s, the Dark Horse comics, like Jedi had red lightsabers because George Lucas didn't specify that red meant bad for a long time.
In those old Ralph McQuarrie paintings too, like they're just white. It's just like white light.
But in those comics, Jedi have whatever color lightsaber. And it's so funny to watch, because the Legends is especially around the prequel time, is a slew of retcons and contradictions. Because every time a new movie would come out, George would be like, "Yeah, that's only the bad guys have red," and all the writers would be like, "Oh God, what have we done?" Because like Stace Ali famously she just has a red lightsaber. There's red lightsabers, and Mace's is blue, and then it changes to green, and then in the movie it's purple, and they're like,
Yeah.
and so because but you're right that in the movies, as far as I knew, it was only like these light colors, but it's funny.
I was thrilled to see yellow. So yeah, that I know that Asajj specifically has a single yellow. She goes from dual wielding to single wielding, and I don't. Do they mention where she? How did she get with a yellow lightsaber? They don't mention it. They just say its color.
I don't know.
Maybe she. You know what? At that point, she probably bought it like on Coruscant, like in the black market or whatever. She just bought like a. I think that was it. It's one of those like lightsabers are hard to come by, so you kind of have to get one.
Yeah.
You kind of have to get like an off brand, off market lightsaber if you want one, and like.
Is that how that happens?
I feel like I did read Dark Disciple, and I'm like in my brain, I'm like, did they mention that she kind of just like purchased a lightsaber at some point from?
I'm going to the Wikipedia to try and see. Asajj Ventress. Is there like a yellow?
And that's also the Asajj Ventress has hair too. That's why I had said I kind of thought Charlize Theron would be a good Asajj,
cool looking,
because she already has like the way they styled Asajj's hair in the art for Dark Disciple.
Oh yeah. By the way, I just want to verify. My memory serves me correctly. The lightsaber design would go on to be used in season 7 of the Clone Wars, used as half of Maul's lightsaber, so it's still in there. You can still see it. But as far as where she gets it, there's almost no information on it. It was a personal lightsaber of Asajj Ventress. It was acquired by the bounty hunter. Oh yeah, no, you're right. On the black market, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Sometime after Padawan Barasafi stole the lightsabers at Ventress. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, lightsabers are like hard to come by, but like they every time a Jedi dies and like it falls off a cliff, like some scrap person, somebody got Luke's hand on Beskar,
I mean,
right?
you see that a couple times in Clone Wars, like
which is, by the way, a story we still haven't heard, have we? Or they told it in like a comic, didn't they?
Well, just recently,
Maz Kanata and her like pirate friends or whatever ended up getting it.
Well, just recently, so that's the whole thing. Just recently, it was revealed in the comics that somehow, eventually Palpatine gets a hold of Luke's hand, just like in Legends, where in Legends they clone Luke from Luke's hand, and that's in the Thrawn trilogy and all that. And that's how you get Luke with 2 U's and the clone.
Oh God, some things are better left.
But they made a point
in the garbage bin.
They made a point that when the hand and lightsaber aren't one thing. Like the lightsaber falls in the scrap pile where the Ugnaughts are, and the Ugnaughts get it. And so eventually it makes it weighs to Maz. We don't know exactly how it does, but we just know it lands with the scrappers and the miners down there in the trash piles. But the hand, we don't know how the hand gets.
The reason I thought it made sense that the hand and the saber would go together is then how would Maz Kanata know that that's Luke and Anakin's lightsaber and that it was a special lightsaber? When she hands it to Rey, she knows whose lightsaber.
I mean, she's friends with Han and Luke. I imagine Han and Leia.
But Han's like, where did you get that? Oh, you mean at some point before?
She may have. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they know that she has it. Because she may have gotten it.
But Luke.
Because Maz, think about this.
Weren't an item until Luke already had lost that saber, though.
Well, okay. Maz may have only gotten that saber recently relative to her relationship with Han, Luke, and Leia. But she has known Leia for longer than she's known Leia a while.
Oh, so you mean that? Then you're suggesting Leia would have had possession of it at some point?
Well, no. Just that she knows of Luke and that Luke had that saber at one point. Somehow, and she knew Luke because she's 1,000 years old. I imagine.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing where it's it's Maz Kanata. She knows. She knows.
She probably knows somehow. But
yeah, she literally looks into Finn's eyes and reads his soul. She's I can.
But
I've been around the block, kiddo.
She hadn't seen Han in a couple of years or whatever, so she could have gotten the saber relatively recently relative to the Force Awakens. She didn't have to have it for since it fell. And we already know that's not how it happened. It could have probably traveled. Like you said, those things go to the black market.
Yeah, so. Anyway, we started down this tangent talking about, Asajj.
Good job, Lavelle.
Because Barriss takes her sabers and uses them, but then they take them from Barriss when she gets arrested.
Yeah, arrested.
So we don't know what happens to Asajj's old sabers. She doesn't get them back. But you said that they became part of Maul's, right?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that the the design, they modeled Asajj's yellow saber, and it was never used, and they used half of it when constructing Maul's new saber.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it now. Okay.
Because they made the model for it, because Dark Disciple was so far into production, but it just never was published, and so they're like, why don't we just for Maul's new saber?
I always felt so like bad for Asajj in that, like when Barriss has taken her sabers from her, and Anakin goes to find Asajj to like get information from her.
Yeah, and just like starts throwing her around and is like choking her out. Oh god, that's some Vader stuff right there.
Yeah,
he's full Vader in those moments.
Yeah, it's that type of stuff though that makes Asajj one of my favorite characters, though, and that like you consider all the characters she's interacted with and all of the things that she's seen, and
she put Boba Fett in the box.
change that she goes through over the course. And if you consider like in season 1, like that Asajj, like that is like the most evil, like crazy bitch character you've ever seen, and then like by the end of season 5,
it's funny. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite movie because in one scene you see 3 characters who fought with Asajj Ventress in that one episode, right? Because like all the bounty hunters in the bounty hunter scene.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
like
so
3 of those,
Bossk,
like Bossk, Dengar, and Boba were all
yeah.
on that train with her. Like all you people know Asajj Ventress.
Oh wait, Dengar was in that group.
Yeah.
Who's the pink girl with the spiky hair?
That's Latz Razzie.
Yeah, Latz Razzie. Does she die?
No.
In that? No, none of them actually die. They
he
just,
was
like,
supposed
fall
to be.
off the
She was
train or
supposed to
whatever.
be in Dark Disciple.
Oh, and who is that like super like swordsman character that like comes in and like the Pantoran dude that's like the samurai kind of guy?
The underground mole people or whatever. I don't know their name. They're just like the mole people who got the cool. Or that one episode, and that's it. But anyway, yeah, Dengar's in that scene. Dengar and her are on the back of the train. I think Dengar's the first.
That's
guy
more
to fall
characters
off.
also that were Bossk. Hey, why don't we run into Bossk? Why not? He's around, right?
I think possible. I think Book of Boba Fett. I think Book of Boba is Empire Strikes Back bounty hunters coming back together.
That'd be great. All right, man. It's 4:20. You know what that means? It's my my herbal duties are calling me. Nap time. No. Anyway, yeah, let's wrap this stream up. Unless Levi, there's anything more on.
I mean, in going through my notes here, we didn't really talk about, but like we kind of touched on how the Bad Batch starts to miss.
Yeah,
Crosshair.
hustle. Asajj was a Jedi Padawan, and she watched her master get killed, and then she turned to the dark side.
Her story in Legends,
and Dooku
so
appropriated her as an apprentice.
In Legends, she like is so angry. She like has a whole planet. She rules like a planet as a warlord. It's so cool.
Yeah, but Asajj, like, not only does she's a Jedi that becomes a Sith apprentice and then goes back to being a bit like a bounty hunter / like kind of a good guy.
Light side
user,
like,
yeah. That's super interesting. But the whole Night Sister, Dathomir stuff too, like that's all
fascinating character.
Yeah, like dude, Asajj is so like I don't want to say she slept on, but I want more Asajj, and I'm bummed that it doesn't appear like we're gonna get the Dark Disciple in Bad Batch, because that would have already happened. It's in the past.
I think Edu, who said it in chat, you know, we get that movie, Mike.
Yeah, that would be great. And that's what Edu said. I think if they, you know what, they haven't. Is Clone Wars the only? Yeah, that's the only animated movie they've done. So, yeah, let's get it. Let's do a Dark Disciple animated movie. I want to see that.
Yeah. So the only thing we didn't really touch on that I have on my list is that, you know, the Bad Batch missing Crosshair and Hunter blaming himself for, he's like, Omega's like, well, don't blame him. You know, it's not his fault. And he's like, no, I blame myself. And that's an interesting interaction that they have, where everyone is sort of, they're all the different Bad Batch members are in like the different stages of grief around Crosshair.
Yeah, she knocks over the bin, and they're like, oh, that's Crosshair's like, you know, her weapons kid.
And Wrecker's like, I'm just gonna say it, man.
I miss him. Yeah,
Wrecker's the best.
He is the best. That's why I'm all like, fuck, they're gonna kill him. Shit.
Yeah, probably.
All right, making us love him, and I guarantee you, you're gonna see a shot after Wrecker dies of the Lula doll like buried in the sand with like the wind blowing it.
Oh,
and, like,
God.
And that'll be
it's gonna be like
Kevin Kiner music in the background.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Seven Samurai.
And I'm gonna be just crying like a little baby. All right, guys, thanks for being here this week.
Yeah.
Levi, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having
me. Yeah, dude. And Johnny, I don't think Johnny's in the chat. Thanks to all new nerds in general, guys. If you haven't been over to all new nerds yet, I know Hustle, Angie, you guys have been over all new nerds, but if
700 subs, baby.
700 subs for the third time.
For the third time. It's sticking this time.
It's up and down. It's kind of like the stock market. You kind of just gotta wait.
Only going up from here.
Thanks for being here, guys. And what do we got? We don't have Loki yet. That's coming in a couple weeks. But
yeah, a couple weeks.
what is it? June 6th? June 9th. So yeah, 3 weeks or so. But yeah, Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
Loving it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.